It all started with my wife, my now wife. At least we met in college, and
Yeah.
she introduced me to a very poor Merlot. Very poor, substandard. I wouldn't drink it today, but uh, no, I mean we were young. You know what
Yeah.
I mean. We were transitioning from college to
To
adulthood,
adults. Yeah.
and I didn't really like it. I'm not gonna lie. I was more of a lemonade guy. Hard liquor, things of that nature. And as I pursued her, I started pursuing wine and
More
learning
wine.
more about wine. And once I got to Portland, I got drafted by the Portland Trailblazers in 2013. I'll never forget. I went to ringside after a game, and one of the wines of the day, so to speak, it was a 2012 Walter Scott volcanic soil, and the rest is history. And I've been
Wow.
chasing that ever since. That
That was
that
so
taste.
specific.
I was like, this is. You go from the Merlot. Don't know where it came from, but it wasn't
Yeah.
very good. It was very bland. Not a lot of great notes, but it was the gateway. It was my gateway
your
drug.
gateway,
It was my
yeah.
gateway drug because then I was able to find wines that I would drink today. From volcanic soil to the other types of soils that exist. But I'm personally a volcanic soil lover,
Okay.
so I've always chased those notes as I chase my wife.
As you chase your wife. So tell me more about this volcanic soil. Like, what is that? Like, why is that your thing? And like, where is that usually found?
I don't know why it's my thing, honestly. But everything, from that point in time, 2013 at ringside to now, everything's kind of just fallen into place that way. My first blind tasting that I did with Adelsheim, I sat there and I did a blind tasting, and they basically said, put what you like to the right, put what you don't like to the left. And needless to say, on accident, I put 3 volcanic soils to the right, and that's what I ended up making in my first blend of my 18 McCollum Heritage 91. But I think it's just how smooth it is. It's hints of cherry. It's just,
Yeah.
I get excited. It's just like, how when you find your thing, like whatever that is, whatever that thing is, when you kind of like find it,
Oh yeah.
it just makes you happy, makes you excited. It's easy on the palate. It goes well with food personally. And, as I always say, after 2, they all taste the same, but it goes well with food. It goes well without food. You can have it, with friends. You can have it with family. You can have it in celebratory fashion. And it's just a smooth wine. It's the type of wine that, my mom's a big white wine lover. She likes it sweet. It's a wine that she would drink. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, this isn't bad. You know what I mean? My grandma would try and say, this isn't bad. You know what I mean? And they're like, got to be super sweet or they don't want it.
They don't want it, yeah. I love that origin story. I also love the connection to your partner. That's really dope. Tell me the story behind the brand, right? So
Right.
McCollum Heritage 91. Like, where's the name come from? Where's that brand come from?
Yeah. So I'm big on lineage. I'm big on legacy. I'm big on, trying to create something that I can pass down to my kids and share with my family and people that would normally be exposed to wine like myself.
Yeah.
So I put my name on it to kind of make the presence felt, obviously, like this is, excuse my language, this is my
Behind it,
yeah. So put my name on it in that manner. And then, the heritage is huge. Where I come from, what I've been able to overcome to get to this point. I thought that was extremely important in my story. And I actually grew up on Heritage Avenue. So it just kind of made sense to go McCollum Heritage. And then I was born in 91.
I like it.
So it was like, my wife was born in 91. I'm born in 91. So we had some issues, like putting 91 on the bottle. That's not a 91. But then it was like, you got to put McCollum Heritage 91, 2018. Like, so people know, like, you're not drinking a 91. It's a part of the name. But I think it just made sense for me. It made sense for the brand. And I think it's stuck ever since.
Yeah. No, it's funny when you think about, branding and things like that. Stuff like that comes up. And you're like, but I want 91 on the bottle.
Right. Exactly.
You got to roll with it. Tell me about your involvement in the wine business, right? Like you obviously have a passion for it. You have a story that's connected to it. You have this beautiful brand story that you're bringing to life. How do you get involved in that day to day?
Well, I got a lot of help, which is extremely important. Good help. Ashley does a lot of the work behind the scenes. I think Gina, our winemaker, does a lot of work behind the scenes. Everybody at Adelsheim is extremely helpful. And then, what you can't do, you hire out. You find people who can kind of deliver your vision and kind of keep you up to date as the process goes. But I'm involved in all steps of the process, trying to design a wine I probably shouldn't speak on right now as we speak, trying to design the bottle and trying to figure out, what we want to do with that. And it's just it's an everlasting process. And like, this is like, I have my real job that allows me to spend money on this type of project that I have to, like, that's a real job too, but like, I had to be able to kind of build, my day-to-day job as I'm trying to, finesse my business on the side. And it just takes a lot of help and a lot of people who are willing to, do some of the dirty work, and then I step in when I need to step in.
How was it hard for you to kind of let go in that way? Right, because you think about it in the way you describe
it.
Yeah, you're very attached to it. So how do you get comfortable with allowing other people to come in and be a part of your vision?
No, I think the best leaders are people who let people be free, let people do their job, do their role, whatever they're good at. You allow them to kind of thrive, and I think that makes a better work environment for everybody. And one day when I have my own situation, I think it's important you empower people around you. There's a reason why they're in those specific roles. So I check in, I ask questions, and I think when you have success and whatever success means to you, then you kind of understand, like, whatever you're doing is working. Like, okay, this is working. Let's continue to do this. Let's tweak, some of these areas. Maybe I can be more responsive. Maybe I can get you answers faster. Maybe I can be more involved or less involved in certain instances because I'm holding up the process. And then you figure out what success looks like from there. And I think that's what I've kind of done. I had the 18 come out. I've had the rosé. I've had the Chardonnay through the 1 barrel challenge, and I'm another Pinot that'll be coming out, which is, I think everybody drank some today, which will come out, in the best month of the year, September.
Hey, say it again.
The best month of the year is September. The best day is the 19th, to be specific, for anyone that was wondering.
I think it's 29.
Oh, the 20. It's a 9. It's a 9. It's a 9. It's cool.
9.
It's cool.
I think also when we think about the gravity of you having your own wine brand is, you're really breaking ground as a Black NBA player starting your own wine. What experience? What has that been like? As you think about yourself identifying as a Black man in this space in Oregon, what do you think about that?
For one, a Black man in Oregon is semi-rare, so so to be in that space kind of makes it even more rare. And I think I'm just keeping it real.
I know. I'm sorry.
And I think it's been a really cool experience for me, going to so many different vineyards, being able to experience tastings, being able to go to restaurants. And I think there's this perceived notion of, like, how you're viewed, and then they meet you and they're like, oh, okay, so you kind of do know about wine. You know what I mean? So, like, you go through that, which is, it's fair because I play basketball, right? Yeah. So, like, you don't know what to expect. And then you meet some of my my teammates, some of my friends, some people who maneuver the wine space, like Merlot, who has, like, a completely different understanding of wine because he's, like, 36, and he's been drinking for, like, 6 more years than me. No, I didn't mean like that. I mean, he's got like 6 more years of like drinking wine experience. And like traveling Burgundy. Like he's been able to do that for 6 more years. So like his understanding is a little bit better. But it's been a really unique, cool experience because now kids see me, college athletes see me, NBA players see me, other people who may have been interested in wine before and like, nah, I ain't messing with it. Now they're like, well, if CJ can do it, maybe I can experience something like that too. And then they can ask me for advice or questions, and I can steer them in the right direction as opposed to telling them like, stay away from it. I'm like, no, jump in.
Yeah.
Like, get in.
Are you getting a lot of like young cats reaching out like, tell me about this wine
21,
thing.
Of course.
Okay, of course.
All over the age of 21. But yeah, a lot of young NBA players, right? Because when you first get into the league, you're coming out of college, and generally, like, you focus on your academics, you focus on your athletics, and then like you went to college type parties. Yeah. So they're generally curious because they have players on their team who are drinking wine. Like I drink wine, I carry it, I travel with it. So once like a player on my team turns 21, like they find like, yes, CJ, like I can drink with you. Believe it or not, there's a lot of guys that aren't 21 in the NBA. So you gotta wait, and I think it's just cool to kind of see the transformation of like how I came into the league, what I knew about wine then compared to what I know now, and then trying to pass down that knowledge to the younger guys. And then you got older guys in the league too who are just curious, like, how did you do it?
Yeah.
Like, what was the process like? Would you advise me doing something like this? Like, if I were to take the same route, what would you do differently? Like, just picking my brain, asking me questions, then I'm like, well, no, tell me about Burgundy. You know what I mean? Like, I'll help you. You tell me about some wines that I don't really know about, and it's kind of like a fair trade.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty cool that you're actually like getting a lot of that and kind of creating that culture in the NBA. It brings me to this question I was going to ask you about, like, how do you confide in some of the other players, right? Like, I know you got,
Yeah.
a couple of different friends in the league that have been in that business as well. Do you feel like you can just willingly go to them and ask similar questions as well?
Absolutely. There's a lot of guys in the NBA who enjoy wine, and you look at our bubble experience, right? I had
Hmm.
like 180 bottles shipped in. It's crazy. Shipped into the bubble, and I was passing out wine. We had bubble days, we had Chardonnay days, we had Pinot lunches, and
Y'all play ball?
yeah, it helps. It helps. It's a stressful life, but you go through those experiences, and then you kind of kind of fast forward, and we just asked each other so many questions, and like you talked about, there's no dumb question. Like, I didn't know how to say Terror, Terrior. You know what I mean? Like, I could spell it, but like
Yeah.
there were so many things that I just wanted to learn about, and I wasn't afraid to ask questions. And I thank D Wade to this day, because not only did I follow him, signing with Li Ning, but I asked him, like, what is it like to have your own wine brand? Like, should I do it?
Hmm.
And he could have told me no, and then I would have been like,
Mm.
like, I don't know if I want
I
to
don't
do
wanna
it.
do it, yeah.
It was like, I think it's really cool that you're like exploring these options, whatever. Like, these are the things you should look for. If you're going to do it, make sure you have X, Y, Z. And that was the type of advice that, like, it was helpful for me, because if you tell me to do something, I'm gonna go do exactly what you said and then try to make it better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I approached it. And now when people ask me questions, I give them enough to like succeed.
Yeah.
But I don't give them everything.
You can't give everything. You gotta leave a little bit in
Give
the
them
journey.
enough to succeed, but not everything.
See, I'm still competitive.
Yeah.
You shipped 180 bottles, Alan?
Maybe more. Maybe it probably was more. I mean, I gave away like over 180.
I mean, it's a good group to send
drank a lot of
180
it,
bottles to.
mean,
Where were you keeping these bottles?
See, yes, it wasn't to wine standards, but I kept the room dark. Kept the room dark. It was a 65. I know some of it should be 57, 58, but like it was cool.
It was cool.
You decant it for a little bit, and then you put the bubbles on ice.
Yeah.
And you got a nice little situation.
So your room was the spot.
My room was the spot, but COVID friendly. You know what I'm saying? We socially distanced. A lot of our meetings were in the conference rooms and by the pool, because it's outdoors like this.
And you can just have your glass.
Lots of glass.
Now, as you've been getting McCollum Heritage 91 going, I imagine it's not like just super easy and everything's great. Have you run into like any challenging hurdles that just stick in the back of your head?
I just got to roll with the punches. It's kind of like getting injured or like missing a shot that's like important. Like, it hurts, but you learn from it. And I think most of the issues we ran into is like quantity issues, right? It's like people are mad they didn't get a chance to buy the wine. And I'm like, it's like a bad, good problem.
I mean, you got
like,
demand.
It's like Jordans, they sold out. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Sorry.
And then some of the other problems is just, dragging feet on designs, which is like me dragging my feet. Like, I don't know if I like that. I want this flower. I want this color. Wait, why can't we change the top? And they're like, well, it's too late. You didn't order enough. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, just little, as
like
a
that.
basketball player, like, we just adjust, like, last minute decision, like charge block. Like,
You're
I don't
used
know.
to being on the court and being able to adjust. In the
I
moment.
just do what I want. Like,
Yeah.
now it's like, no, you got to order this by this date, and that's a 7 months out, and that's 10. I'm like, why does it take 10
Why
months?
does it take 10 months?
Why?
This sounds so. I used to work in footwear and create sneakers all day, and one of my last gigs was with a musician, and used to making digital product, right? So you can go in the studio and we can come back 10 minutes later and CJ's got a new song. But you'd get in production and be like, I want to change that whole soul unit. And you're like, why do you want to do that? I don't like it anymore. But I get what you're saying. Like, sometimes it's just intuitively it's not right. And so you want to change it based on what you feel is right now. Right? Essentially.
Exactly. And I'm a moody person. So, like, my mood shifts. I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed moody person, right? That tells you, like, I'm a realist. And I like what I like. And then the next day, like, I said that. I said I like that. Like, you know what I mean? And if it's branded, like I see you did a great job of branding. You want your brand to flourish, right? You want it to be the forefront of everything. And sometimes there's such a thing as too much.
Yes.
And I'm trying to find that balance.
The balance. Yeah, that makes sense. So we've heard that you have this challenge with Heritage 91 around the 1 barrel challenge. Can you share a little bit for the audience? What is that challenge?
Yeah. So long story short story long. I don't know which one I'll tell. Um, they reached out and asked if I would be interested in specifically basically donating a barrel of wine. For those of you that don't know, I didn't know either. A barrel of wine is 300 bottles. Took me a long time to figure that out. So 300 bottles you basically give away to charity. The One Barrel Challenge this year specifically focused on Maurice Lucas Foundation, and continuing to figure out ways to empower, people of color, specifically in the wine space and beyond. Like from an educational standpoint, obviously I work with kids. I do a lot in the community, and it was just like checking boxes on things that I would normally do, and it made sense for me, and it made sense for the brand and what we wanted to accomplish. The only problem was that they asked me to do a white wine, and at the time, I didn't like white wine. So I literally was like, nah, I don't think this is gonna work for me. And they're like, well, CJ. What do you mean? I was like, I can't do a Pinot. And this is like me just, as a person who likes to put stuff out that they can believe in and speak to. It's like, I don't really drink white wine, so how can I make 300 bottles of this wine and give it away and tell people to drink it?
Right.
If I don't even like it. So they were like, well, see if you can find something you like. So I did a 6 months of drinking white wine with almost every meal to kind of figure out, A, if I'm going to like it, and then B, like what types of white wine do I like and what do I pair with it? And needless to say, I'm glad I did it because now I enjoy the right Chardonnay.
The right Chardonnay.
The right Chardonnay. They weren't all created equal.
What was the thing that was happening with the Chardonnay that you didn't like?
I don't know if it was just bad experiences or if I just knew that in my head it wasn't ready, I wasn't going to like it. You psych yourself out.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was probably a combination of both. But then, I went to the bubble. JJ Redick, he's got some white wine. Melo's got some white burgundy. And I was like, white burgundy?
White burgundy?
What is that?
Tell me more.
Let me taste that. Ooh. And then next thing you know, I'm like, white burgundy. If it tastes like white burgundy, I'm in. And then try to like find that taste. And it's hard to make it taste like white burgundy. But if you have the right juice and the right grapes, you can get it done.
It's white burgundy. Is that the...
I would highly recommend it. For those of you out there that are listening to this, I know you can speak to white burgundy.
All right, we're going to take you up on this, CJ. We're going to get some white burgundy.
You should do it. And you should get some of my Chardonnay.
I mean, of course. When you think about kind of some of the decisions you've made in your career, right? Like I don't want to say unorthodox, but not necessarily what we see a lot of the big names do. Like you're very much championing your own brand, right? Like you're going this entrepreneurial route. What gives you the courage to go this route versus, signing contracts with bigger things for less leverage, essentially?
Right. I just try to be authentic to me. I think as I got older, as I had more experiences, as I got over like the jealousy phase of like comparing yourself, I think I just figured out how to be the best version of me. Like, what does that look like for CJ McCollum? Like Christian James. Like, what's the best version of you, and how do you maximize that? And the things you do, the things you say, and how you move. And I think I check all those boxes. Like, I'm who I say I am. I do what I say I'm going to do, and I move accordingly. And I think I read it in a book, like Comparison's the Thief of Joy. Once I stopped comparing myself to other people that came from Canton, other Lehigh grads, other NBA players, other winemakers, other guys with shoes, it was just like life was just easy for me. And then I'm at peace with every decision I make because I'm making it because it's what's best for me and my family, not because it's best for my agency or somebody else. It's like, do what's best for you, see, and then it works.
It works out. Yeah, it's what you want to do, right? I think that's great advice because I feel like so much of us grow up and we're kind of like looking left and right, trying to see what someone else is doing. It's beautiful when you can get to the place where you're at right now.
It took a long time to get here, I ain't gonna lie to you. Looking all around. Now you just run your own race and you finish when you finish.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So as you think about kind of this journey that you're on and where you've been, for some of the players that we actually spoke about that might be reaching out to you and folks that aren't players that want to get into the wine business, what advice would you have for them based on your experience?
I would tell them, I think, one, educate yourself, right? Figure out what you don't know. Like, I'm very smart, but I also don't know a lot at the same time, right? So figure out what that is and then put yourself around people who do know those things so they can teach you. And ask as many questions as possible and understand that, like, I'm a very good jump shooter, right? But it is just facts. It's Facts. But I still miss shots all the time. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a very good shooter, but like I get paid to miss more than I make. So like approach business the same way. You're probably going to miss more than you make, right? But those shots that you make them count.
Yeah.
And I think I've done that strategically with investing. I've done that strategically with the wine business. And like the next person that goes into this business, like she said it, you're going to make some mistakes, right? Just make sure them shots that you hit is like in the fourth quarter. Like, just make sure that they like make them count, because you might go on a cold streak.